you guys. It is great to be here today, and I'm going to talk about late night. I think as we just heard, Jack in the Box is known for late night. As long as you live near a Jack in the Box, there's probably a story. If you went to college near a Jack in the Box, you probably have lots of stories. I'd love to hear them. I would love to hear your late night, getting your munchie meals, your 2 tacos for 99 cents. Everyone has a story. But really at Jack in the Box, coming out of the pandemic, one thing that we really needed to do was remind our guests that we are open for late night. So, through the pandemic, we had just tons and tons of challenges, right? But we have all our stores, we're back open 24/7. And so, what I have here on the screen is that late night is our moment to remind everyone of their inner Jack. With a bite of our food, your inner Jack is set free so you can go late. And so we really wanted to create a campaign to defend late night in the QSR space. And so we've got a new look and feel that I'm really excited that we launched this year with this really great tagline, Go Late. We talked a lot about creative in the last, and how important it is. And so we really wanted to lean into that craveable food. What do you come to Jack in the Box late at night for? And really leaning into the color purple. We actually launched our munchie meals, which is, what we are known for at late night, over 10 years ago, really leaning into the purple color. But one thing we wanted to do is really differentiate all of the rest of the creative we're doing, right? Don't go home, go late. When everyone is going home, don't. You can see on the screen, we've got 2 tacos, curly fries, things that we're known for, our shakes, which are very popular. On the very far left, you see our munchie meals, which if you haven't come into our come in for our munchie meals, come to Jack in the Box. We have tons and tons of Jack in the Box here in Phoenix, and we'd love for you guys to come in and try some of that food while you're here enjoying Scottsdale. But what did we want to do? We wanted to really differentiate through late night. So we wanted to prioritize attentive media and really, some favorability building channels to cement that late night ownership. So we really came through with a full campaign, 360, in a lot of different channels. So we had foundational, that is always on late night support across key channels, driving frequency and transactions. We were really leaning into Twitch, Google Ads, on search, and really making sure that we're right there on social platforms, X, Instagram, TikTok. Where does digital out of home come in? That comes in with high impact. So media activations with highly attentive partnerships in contextual spaces driving recall and awareness. So we partnered with Uber, Atmosphere, and Play Octopus, which is now called T-Mobile. And we'll talk a little bit about what we did using the digital out of home to really make this campaign pop. We actually launched this campaign it was in 2023, November 20th. You might be wondering why. Why November 20th? We know that is really the kickoff of the holiday season. It's Thanksgiving week. We really wanted to have that right creative at the right time. One of the things I loved about this campaign was that everything was dayparted. We had some, differences in the time, but for the most part, we had all of this creative running 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. So nothing outside. So you never saw this go late messaging outside of those day parts. The other thing that's really interesting, for those of you who might not know, Jack in the Box is a regional brand. So we've got over 2,200 locations in 59 different DMAs, ranging from Los Angeles, where we are the number 2 to McDonald's, to markets that only have 2 or 3 locations. So we've got a lot of different DMAs, and how do we make sure that this message gets across to everyone? So one of the things we did was partnered with Atmosphere to have in-bar out of home.
Never have I ever ordered breakfast items for dinner. You're missing out. Join the Jack Pack and get 20% off your first order.
So one of the things you can see is that
Never have I ever ordered breakfast.
Thank you. So one of the things we did is we wanted to make sure that we really created the creative for this spot, right? So this is what we ran on on atmosphere, in bars. We know that the holiday season is when people are out and about. They're traveling, they're visiting family, they're seeing old friends, they're going home for the holidays. So this campaign ran through Thanksgiving all the way through Christmas. So an opportunity to really capture people while they're out. One of the big things we did, so we did two things on targeting that I think were really vital. So we only ran this in the bars from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. to really try and garner that late night guest. And then we made sure that it only ran in bars that were 2 miles out of a Jack in the Box. So close proximity. We really wanted to make sure that we could grab that occasion while people were out. How do we keep it going? One of the other things that Jack in the Box is really known for is you can get anything, anytime. So you can see what we're doing right here on this ad was we were featuring a breakfast sandwich. Most of our competitors, you don't have the opportunity to get a breakfast sandwich in the middle of the night. Where else can you get tacos and an egg roll and a breakfast sandwich all in the same order? Jack in the Box. So this was one of the components to our campaign that we were really happy with those results. Then we did something that was new for us, was we took advantage of Uber Journey ads. I know this is not an out-of-home space, but I thought it was really relevant. Uber Journey ads were another place that we could really focus on that late night day part, really make sure that our targeting was in places and spaces that you would have, late night visits. So making sure that you're hitting that late night, those bars, clubs, out of home, all different places while you are out. And with the Uber Journey ads, which was really fantastic, was that there was only one single advertiser per customer. So while you're waiting outside of the bar, right, you're getting served the ad. While you're in the car, you're getting served, while you're waiting for the driver to come up, and then while you're in the car. And then we could actually track Uber Eats and track how many people saw those ads and came in. One of the other partners that we used, and this is kind of, in the digital out-of-home space, is we've been partnering with Play Octopus, now known as T-Mobile. So those are screens that are in the back of ride shares. This is another fantastic place for us. One of the things that we've really seen success with is gamification. So really leaning into T-Mobile to help us with this creative. They have been a fantastic partner with us. If you see, it's really engaging, talking about, using that QR code, right? You've got someone in the back of an Uber. They've got really nothing to do. You talk about attentive media. We're in Ubers and Lyfts. We're able to span this across 30 different markets that we are in. So this is something that we have seen a lot of great success, especially with the right product, right time of day. Again, focusing late night. So focusing on that late night audience. So both of these were day parted. We've talked a lot, I've heard a lot of GSTV. Gas station TV is another thing that, at Jack in the Box, we take advantage of. I know this statistic was already stole my thunder, but QSR is the #1 destination after you fuel up, according to a number of studies. And so we have seen a lot of success with gas station TV, specifically with day parting. So we actually day part throughout the day. So you'll see a breakfast message in the morning, you will see a burger message, in the midday and dinner time frame. And then at late night, we now have our late night messaging running to really capture that attention, to really drive that late night visit. Again, another great partner. And again, you can see we had the same creative running throughout this campaign to really signify that this was late night. And then we wouldn't be anywhere without social. Just to bring this whole thing home, we wanted to build attentive reach and engagement across key social platforms. I'm going to play both of these ads just so you can get a little bit of a flavor of Jack and who Jack in the Box is if you're not familiar, and then we'll talk on the other side. I might need your help to play the video. Thank you.
Yo, they're 10 minutes out.
Perfect.
We're stopping by Jack first.
Ooh, get me the mini pancakes.
Hash brown
2, please.
and a burrito for me.
I want the loaded breakfast sandwich.
Okay, well, somebody has to change, and it's not going to be me.
I don't know about karaoke, you guys. I'm pretty tired.
Katie, come on.
Actually, I'm up for anything. Oh my God, Katie, your voice. Oh my God, my voice.
Sound just like Jack.
Huh. I don't hear it.
So you can really see we have a lot of fun at Jack in the Box. We love Jack Box, our CEO here for Jack. So one of the things that we saw with the results from this, from really running this social campaign on top, was we also were dayparting our social. And I'm not sure if we talk about that a lot, here, but running this ad after 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. So again, it's a lot of getting the right audience, the right mind frame with the right piece of creative, really marrying those all the way through this campaign. And then you can see even what we're doing on Instagram, being, taking a price point, really making sure that we can really drive those assets. Everything's cohesive, within this campaign. So those were kind of the prepared slides. I want to talk a little bit about, what we saw were the successes of this campaign. As this is kind of an ongoing campaign, I don't have true case study yet to share, but what I can share is some early results. We've already attributed over 6.5 million store visits to this campaign. We have been able to attribute over 8,000 Uber Eats orders, which is fantastic, and a really low cost per store visit at 8 cents. Overall, we're really happy with being able to have kind of this always on. So really, continuing, and then really what our goal here was to pulse in some of these digital out-of-home players at the right times during, some key seasonalities throughout the year. I think having that cohesive creative, huge plus, huge win, throughout many different touch points. And then, just continuing to own and defend. Remind our guests that Jack is open at late night. It is definitely an area that many QSRs are kind of coming after. But Jack is really, we own it. We own late night. We do late night well, and, want to keep that really top of mind. So overall, very excited about this campaign. I think, when we take a step back, we're, kind of right here at this point evaluating the success here. We are seeing some really great late night sales results. So again, really happy overall. I think one thing that I think is interesting to think about is how digital out-of-home can digital out-of-home be considered an always-on channel? I don't think many clients, and I'm sitting here on the client side, think about digital out-of-home as always on, right? They always think of it as let's pulse it in. I think there's probably an opportunity, and one thing that we're talking about kind of internally is how do we have more of an always-on presence with out-of-home? But we've seen a ton of success being able to daypart, really focusing on the right message at the right time. And that's really what I wanted to share before I opened it up to some questions.
Thank you, Jaime. That was great. We have time for questions.
Hi, Julian Sotot from Vistar Media.
Yep.
Nice to meet you. So what would you say differentiates Jack in the Box in the late night space? Is it price or product? If you're gonna really compete against, let's say, Taco Bell or your other competitors, what would that look like? What's really making you guys the leader in the space?
I think what makes us the leader is our hours. We are open. A lot of our competitors say they're open late. They're open till midnight. Majority, almost all of our Jack in the Boxes are open 24/7. And I think what really differentiates us is the vast menu that we have and the variety, where you can get anything, anytime. As well as the equity over the last 10 years that we've built in our munchie meal platform, which our guests know and come for us. It is a bundled deal at a very attractive price point. So there's lots of reasons to come to Jack in the Box, but really giving that, the consumer the ability to get anything they want, right? It's not like you're at McDonald's and, it's 10:31, sorry, you can't have breakfast, right? You can get breakfast at 3 in the morning if you want to get breakfast at 3 in the morning, and I think that sets us apart.
how are you measuring this across all those different screens that you're using? Is there any possibility to do media mix modeling off of this? Are you able to, do you have any opportunity to optimize on the fly? And how can you really distinguish whether gas TV is outperforming, the Uber journeys?
Yeah, so we are looking at it from a couple different areas. I think we are using media mix modeling. As most of you know who use that space, it's slow, right? It takes a lot of time to get those results. So really what we're doing is we're optimizing this campaign as we go, looking at the metrics, making sure that we're seeing those engagement rates, and really looking at the results, channel by channel. I don't think it's a perfect solution, but we are overall, looking at ways that we can optimize and ways that we can make it better.
Is it too early to say any of these channels you mentioned that are outperforming expectations? Or
I think,
that are proving especially promising even early in the game?
Yeah, I think what we've been able to do with Uber and Play Octopus has been very exciting. I think marrying those together, that's the first time we've done it. We've done Play Octopus before, but really being able to reach that guest as they're waiting for the Uber and then having that screen inside was really exciting to put those two together, but still a little early to tell. But overall, we're really happy with the results, and we're happy with what we're seeing from a sales perspective.
And is having, as you mentioned, is having that captive audience really the key to making a QR code work? I've been waiting for like 15 years now for QR codes actually to work. And I've heard mixed results when I talk to people from out of home using QR codes, but is that sort of proven to be the key, is having that captive wasted time or dead time to really focus them and use it?
Yeah, I think it's really important that you put the QR code in a place that actually makes sense. So for us, the QR code has made a lot of sense on gas station TV and, in the rideshare. It does not make sense on the Atmosphere screen or when we've run, programmatic, out of home in other places. It just doesn't pan out. So I think being close to this, having the ability to be really close to the screen, trying to get a QR code that's, 10, 15 feet away doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. And you can see from our creative, we didn't add the QR code on those, the screens that were in the bar network. It just, from our experience, hasn't made a lot of sense.
And how much geofencing are you doing here? How tightly do you need these close to your outlets, or is this, how much of this is really a big branding play, just to get awareness?
Everything in this campaign is tight radial targeting. So everything that we're doing is, our ideal is 2 miles around a Jack in the Box. Sometimes with social, we'll pull out to 5 miles or 10 miles, depends on the density of, how many locations. But everything we're doing is radial targeted around our restaurants to really eliminate any waste.
And what are you doing on targeted TV and addressable TV to support this at the same time?
So we are not right now this campaign.
This is purely out of home and social.
This is truly out of home social. We're tapping into Twitch and search right now as an additional always on layer. This is really to support kind of our greater initiatives with, the rest of our day parts, right? I think the one thing at Jack in the Box is we have a lot of time, right? We're open 24/7. Really the goal with this campaign was to really hyper-focus on late night and that layer, and where can we, continue to have our foundational media, right? And all of our LTOs and all of the great things that we're doing, innovation, just to continue to remind our guests. And so we wanted to really hyper-focus on the right creative, the right time of day, to be very relevant. Because there's really no point, in my perspective, of hitting someone with a late night ad at 7 a.m. in the morning. They might be someone that goes to bed at 9 o'clock.
And
Hi, my name is Jared at Modern Impact. I have a question kind of on the creative. I noticed Sonic, McDonald's, Burger King, they changed their direction in the past 15 years. I'm in the East Coast, so I don't see a ton of your ads, but I feel like you guys have stayed consistent the whole time. Is that like the power of no, or how do you use data to determine?
Yeah, we use a lot of data when looking on the creative side, but being intimately involved, we have made changes, but probably not as dramatic. our changes have really been to hone in to Jack in the Box's identity, right? To really lean into what makes us Jack in the Box has been really a way for us to continue to be authentic. You know, as we kind of just alluded, you know, a little bit earlier, Jack in the Box has this ability, because of our CEO, Jackbox, to really, you know, touch that line and make sure we don't go over. We have not done these huge dramatic changes. Jackbox has been one of, you know, the longest standing, you know, guy. He still sounds the same. So, but what we've really done is leaned into the taglines, the colors, to really make those ownable and stand out within a sea of, QSR is a very competitive space.
One last question, and then the rest we'll do I'll set you up for a podcast interview with us, because I've got about 15 more questions. The always on, I want you to ask a little bit about the always on thinking. What is your thinking about always on, particularly in the out-of-home space? Because I have spoken to a number of people who have talked about the ways in which people in communities have a kind of location memory attached to particular screens. So I'm curious if you're thinking about that you need to be always on in very specific spaces, or simply always on in the channel.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot there. You know, I have my experience from being at Jack in the Box, and we've always looked at out of home as very much a pulse it in, you know, 4 weeks, 6-week campaigns to really support different initiatives. I just don't think we've thought enough about, you know, how rapidly things have changed in the digital out-of-home space to consider digital out-of-home to be an always-on channel. But the more that we have tapped into, and Jack in the Box was a very early adopter of getting involved in programmatic and digital out-of-home screens, you know, before a lot of different QSRs did. I think there is an opportunity with the ability to, especially in the industry that I'm in, being able to daypart and have always on is probably the next horizon. We have not done that at Jack in the Box, but really interested to continue to have those conversations and think about how that would live within our media. I think everyone thinks of social and digital as, you know, always on. I don't think we've really thought about out of home as an always on channel other than perm boards. And that's not, you know, that's, you know, I think something that we need to really think about.
Jaime, that was great. Thank you so much.